Breaking, the clock is ticking. What we warned about in our last video was not a prediction. It is happening right now. Prime Minister Keir Starmer has been officially cornered. This is no longer a soft war. This is an ultimatum. Senior sources inside Westminster have just confirmed that Starmer has only 3 days, exactly 72 hours, to make a decision that will define not only his career, but the future of the British government. The ultimatum is clear, and it is brutal. Back down immediately before Prince William withdraws the reform proposals, or face a vote of no confidence that will end his premiership instantly. This is an unprecedented situation in modern British history. A future king with a single public refusal has activated a constitutional time bomb right under the feet of the sitting Prime Minister. The reports we're getting from insiders describe an atmosphere of absolute chaos inside number 10 Downing Street. Starmer is reportedly in a rage, shouting at aides, isolated, and finally realising that he has miscalculated catastrophically. He thought Prince William would simply stay silent and accept the modernisation reforms. He was fatally wrong, and now he is paying the price. The snub at Lancaster House was not the end of the story. It was just the opening shot in a war Starmer has no chance of winning. He is in an inescapable trap. A perfect trap of his own making. The only 2 options left on the table both lead to total political annihilation. One is the public humiliation of kneeling in surrender to a royal family he sought to control. The other is a disgraceful overthrow by his own parliament. How did it all happen so fast? How does a prime minister lose complete control in just a matter of days? Because, as we said, he chose to pick a fight with a beloved icon. And now he is facing the consequences. So where is this ultimatum coming from exactly? This is the most shocking part. It is not just coming from the opposition. It is not just Rishi Sunak sensing blood in the water. No, so this ultimatum is an unholy alliance between the opposition and, far more terrifying for Starmer, senior members of his own party. Labour MPs who had been privately nervous for weeks are now in open revolt. They have seen the polling. They have seen that 68% of the British public are backing Prince William. They know that continuing this war with the beloved royal family, especially with the Prince and Princess of Wales, is political suicide. Our sources inside the Labour Party describe secret meetings taking place over the last 48 hours. Party elders have met with Starmer privately and told him in no uncertain terms, stop this, back down, you are destroying us. They have reportedly offered him a brutal deal. Starmer must publicly announce that the government is pausing and reviewing the royal funding proposals. He must issue a public apology, perhaps through a third party, to Kensington Palace for the misunderstanding in protocol. If he does this, they will try to protect him. But if he refuses, they will openly join the opposition in calling for a vote of no confidence. They made it clear, we would rather sacrifice you than let this entire ship go down. This is a betrayal of the highest order. Starmer is no longer fighting William. He is fighting for his own political life against the very people who put him in power. And that 72-hour clock is not a threat. It is a promise. A vote of no confidence. Many people hear this phrase but fail to understand its true terror. This is not just a debate. This is the nuclear weapon of the British Constitution. It is a formal procedure in the House of Commons where members of Parliament vote to decide if they still have confidence in the incumbent government and its Prime Minister. If Starmer loses this vote, he isn't just embarrassed. He is required to resign instantly. It's over. His government collapses. His power evaporates in a single afternoon, and this is why it is the perfect trap. For a vote to be called, the opposition led by Rishi Sunak needs support, but alone, they cannot do it. Now, with public outrage peaking and the Labour Party splitting in two, the math has changed. Labour MPs in marginal constituencies are receiving thousands of emails and calls from furious constituents. People who love the royal family and are appalled by Starmer's attack. They don't care about the details of modernisation. They just see an arrogant Prime Minister trying to bully Prince William and Princess Catherine. And these MPs, they would rather betray their Prime Minister than lose their seats at the next election. Rishi Sunak knows this. He is publicly calling on Labour MPs with a conscience to put the country before their party. It is a genius political move. By siding with William, Sunak has cast himself as the defender of tradition and the Constitution, while Starmer is being painted as a dangerous extremist. Starmer is looking straight down the barrel of a gun. He knows if that vote is called, he will lose. It is a cold, hard, mathematical certainty. The panic inside the Labour Party is not just a few dissenting voices, right? It is a full-blown meltdown. Let's talk about the numbers, because these numbers are sealing Starmer's fate. The overnight poll, as we mentioned, showed 68% of the public backing William. But the number that is terrifying Starmer is the other one, so 31%. That is the percentage of Labour voters, his own supporters, who actually back him in this fight. That means a staggering 69% of his own base does not support him or wants him to back down. This is an irreversible collapse of loyalty. The Labour MP WhatsApp groups, which our previous video described as concerned, have now reportedly escalated from outright panic to full-blown mutiny. MPs from the moderate wing of the party, the ones who need the support of centrist voters, are screaming that Starmer has single-handedly handed the next election to the Conservatives. One senior MP, speaking anonymously, told a journalist, "We spent 14 years rebuilding our image. 14 years convincing the country we were not extremists. And in 72 hours, he has burned it all to the ground. He picked a fight with the most trusted man in Britain, second only to his wife. The anger isn't just from the moderates. Even the hard-left Republican wing of the party, the ones who genuinely dislike the monarchy, are furious. They are enraged that Starmer has chosen the wrong hill to die on. They wanted to fight over public services, over the economy. Instead, they are being dragged into an unnecessary constitutional war that they are losing. Starmer has achieved the impossible. He has united his entire party against him. And if you think that betrayal is limited to the backbenches, you are mistaken. The real shock, the fatal blow, is coming from inside Starmer's own cabinet. The people who sit at the same table with him every single day. This is his inner circle. And it is disintegrating. Sources from inside an emergency cabinet meeting this morning describe a brutal and vicious scene. Senior ministers, Starmer's closest allies, are no longer defending him. They are trying to save their own careers. The Foreign Secretary, David Lammy, who was publicly humiliated at the Commonwealth event, was reportedly apoplectic. He told Starmer that Britain's diplomatic standing has been catastrophically damaged, that Commonwealth leaders are deeply insulted and that they are siding with William. But the most painful blow came from his Deputy Prime Minister, Angela Rayner. Rayner, who has always had a sharper political instinct than Starmer, reportedly told him to his face, "You've lost, Keir. The public has decided the game is over. The only question now is how much we can save from the wreckage." She has made it clear that if Starmer tries to fight this, she will not publicly defend him. It was a veiled threat of resignation. Imagine that your own Deputy Prime Minister, in front of the entire cabinet, essentially calling you a dead man walking. Starmer has lost the room. He has lost his cabinet. And when a Prime Minister loses the support of the very people he appointed, he is no longer a leader. He is just a man occupying an office, waiting for the execution. And while all of Westminster is burning, while Keir Starmer is desperately fighting for his political life, what is Prince William doing? He is doing what he does best. He is silent. A dignified, powerful, and utterly terrifying silence. Kensington Palace has issued no further comments since its nuclear statement about defending the Constitution. And that silence is louder than any words could be. William does not need to say anything more. He lit the fuse. Now he is simply standing back and watching his enemy self-destruct. This is a masterstroke of strategy. By refusing to engage in the daily political mudslinging, William maintains his position above politics. He is not a politician trying to score points. He is a protector, a son defending his family's legacy, a future king defending the Constitution. He has cast Starmer as the aggressor and himself as the reluctant defender. The press is lionising him. Veterans are gathering outside Buckingham Palace to show their support. Commonwealth leaders are reportedly making private calls to him. William's soft power, the very thing Starmer dismissed, has been activated as a hard weapon. Starmer brought a knife to a diplomatic gunfight. He thought he was fighting a ceremonial figurehead. He has discovered he is fighting a deeply popular cultural force and a global brand and a will of iron that will not back down. William doesn't need to issue an ultimatum. The entire country is doing it for him, and his silence, his calm, only makes Starmer look even more desperate and weak. So let's analyse the trap. Let's look at the first option in Starmer's 72-hour ultimatum: back down, surrender. He could call an emergency press conference at Downing Street. He could stand in front of the flag and say that after careful listening and deep reflection, the government will be pausing all proposals related to royal reform. He could say it was all a misunderstanding, that he has the utmost respect for the Prince of Wales. This would end the immediate crisis, right? Wrong. It would just be the beginning of his political death. Imagine the consequences. Instantly, he would be branded the weakest prime minister in modern history. The opposition would feast. Rishi Sunak would declare that Starmer is a coward, a man who was publicly humiliated by a non-elected member of the royal family. The press would crucify him. They would call him Keir the Quitter. But the real danger would come from inside his own party. The Republican left wing, the very people who reluctantly supported him, would feel utterly betrayed. They would scream that he had caved to unelected privilege, that he had proven he has no spine. They would say, "We elected you to bring change, not to kneel before a prince." He would lose their support forever. And most importantly, he would lose all authority from that moment on. Everyone in Westminster, from lobbyists to union leaders to foreign heads of state, would know that Starmer can be bullied. They would know that if you push him hard enough, he will break. He would become a lame duck prime minister in his very first year. He might keep the title, but he would have lost all the power. It is a living death. And the second option, the courageous option, to fight. Starmer could choose to die on this hill. He could walk out, double down on his arrogance. He could give a fiery speech about parliamentary sovereignty, claiming that no one, not even a prince, is above an elected government. He could call the threats from his own MPs a cowardly bluff and declare that he will fight the vote of no confidence and win. It would sound powerful, wouldn't it? It would sound like a true leader. But it would be the most spectacular act of political suicide imaginable. We have already talked about the numbers. He does not have the votes. His own MPs, terrified for their seats, will vote against him to save themselves. The opposition will be united. The vote of no confidence will be called, and he will lose. There are no ifs, ands, or buts. He will lose, and the consequence will be instant. Total annihilation. He will be forced to resign in utter disgrace. He will go down in history as the only prime minister to be toppled by an unnecessary war he started with Buckingham Palace. He will be remembered as the arrogant man who destroyed his own government because he refused to admit he was wrong. The Labour Party would be thrown into a brutal, bloody civil war to find a successor, all while the Conservative Party stands by, laughing and prepares to retake power. By trying to look strong, Starmer would trigger the fastest, most definitive self-destruction. It is not an option. It is a self-destruct button. He has absolutely no way out. We have talked about William. We have talked about Starmer. But there is one other power player in this chess game, one whose silence is even more profound than William's. We are talking about the King. Where is King Charles in all of this? Publicly, Buckingham Palace has been completely silent. The King is carrying out his duties, smiling and saying nothing about the constitutional crisis engulfing his government, but do not let that silence fool you. Insider sources from the palace, those close to the King, are painting a very different picture. They are saying the King is fully supportive of his son's actions. Charles, who has waited his entire life for the throne, understands the constitutional boundaries better than anyone, but he also understands survival. According to these sources, Charles has been deeply troubled by Starmer's proposals for months. He reportedly viewed them as a direct assault on the legacy his mother, Queen Elizabeth, worked so hard to protect, the independence and the dignity of the crown. He had advised William to be cautious, but when William decided to act, the King did not stop him. Instead, he reportedly assured his son that he understood why it was necessary. This quiet backing is a game changer. It means Starmer is not just fighting the Prince of Wales. He is fighting Buckingham Palace itself. He is fighting the sovereign. This makes Starmer's position completely untenable. Any hope he had of dividing and conquering, any hope that the King would step in and order William to back down, is now shattered. The King and his heir are united, and they are united against the Prime Minister. Professor Robert Hazel, whom we quoted before, appeared on television this morning looking visibly shaken. He warned that we are in completely uncharted territory. He said the British system only works because of unwritten rules. It operates on a gentleman's agreement, a deep, unspoken trust between the palace and Parliament. Starmer, with his unilateral action, has torn up that agreement. And William, by retaliating publicly, has responded with force. Both sides have now pressed the nuclear button. What does this mean for the average person? It means the very foundation of the British government is cracking. We are witnessing a medieval power struggle playing out in the 21st century. Who has the ultimate power, an elected prime minister or a future king born to rule? For 300 years, the answer has been a careful, delicate balance. But Starmer tried to tip that balance, and now the entire structure is threatening to collapse. The financial markets are beginning to notice the pound has slipped against the dollar. Investors hate instability. And there is nothing more unstable than an open war between the Prime Minister and the future king. This is no longer just a news story. This is a full-blown crisis of national identity and stability. Starmer didn't just threaten his career. He is threatening the very fabric of the United Kingdom. And so the clock is ticking down. 72 hours, 3 days for Starmer to choose his own execution. Will he choose the public humiliation of kneeling before Prince William, or will he choose the political annihilation of being overthrown by his own party and Parliament? There is no third option. There is no secret escape route. There is no backroom deal that can save him now. It has gone too far. The wounds are too deep. Prince William has drawn a line in the sand. And Keir Starmer, in his arrogance, stepped right over it. Now he must face the consequences. This is the definition of a political tragedy. A man who worked his entire life to gain power, only to throw it all away in a single week of madness, all because he underestimated an opponent he dismissed. He thought William was a decoration. He has learned far too late that William is the embodiment of something far bigger. When this 72-hour clock runs out, Britain will have a new political landscape. Either a broken, wounded, powerless prime minister or an entirely new one. In either case, the winner is clear. Prince William, the future king who took on his own government and won.